Let's go back to Leanne Cusack and lawyer Tanya Davies.
Most people can't imagine going through divorce once, let alone seeing how many people through divorces over your career so far?
Oh, quite a few. It would be thousands of cases, and it's very unfortunate, but it's the reality of the situation that people would get divorced with or without a lawyer. So I always tell them, get a lawyer, do it properly.
So you've seen best case, I'm sure, and worst case situations. We hope that most people will choose the best case situations. But when that is not the case, you were chatting about spousal support, just one aspect of, I guess, a separation and a divorce. And we were explaining a little bit of the history of how spousal support came to be. And you were explaining where we are now and what people should know if, in fact, this is the way you're headed.
Yeah, so now the legislation is not vague at all. There is a precedent. There is a formula to spousal support advisory guidelines. So there is no ambiguity anymore where the decisions would be all over the place. They would be random. They would vary from different judiciary. So now we rely on the formula, even though spousal support advisory guidelines are not labeled as law per se, but I would say that judges follow them religiously.
So, Tanya, there are circumstances, I suppose, where spousal support is moot.
Yes, correct. So in circumstances where both spouses were in the workforce, they equally cared for the children, taking turns essentially. In that situation, if their incomes are approximately the same, there would be no spousal support claim since both parties would be self-sufficient.
Well, you oversee thousands of cases. I'm sure it's unfair to ask about a typical situation because I don't imagine there are typical situations. Every situation is unique to the relationship and to people's, career paths and all the rest. So if you could give us a little bit of maybe anecdotal information that would help viewers just understand the basics, that would be really helpful.
So one of the cases that I argued, for example, Leanne, in that situation, there was a separation agreement signed. There was a spousal support that my client was paying to the husband, and there was a certain duration. There would be an end date. Unfortunately or fortunately, it really depends on whose point of view you're looking at it from. The wife, my client, remarried, had her own family. She had her own children. Of course, she did not have the same ability to work anymore because obviously you stay at home with the kids. You have other financial responsibilities towards your children. So we actually brought her case to court to argue material change in circumstances to eliminate spousal support. The husband was having some medical issues. So in that situation, spousal support was not completely eliminated, but it was reduced. And there was a new date to actually revisit the circumstances.
I'm glad you use this as an example because many people will say, well, is there an end date when spousal support is, determined or decided?
There is an end date whenever you agree to an end date in a proper separation agreement or if the relationship is of a shorter duration.
And spousal support is very different than child support.
Correct. And a lot of the clients agree that child support is payable. They already know maybe from Google, from the internet, from their friends that child support is mandatory. They don't have any issues, or most people do not, supporting their children. Spousal support is a completely different ballgame. A lot of people become reluctant because it's all emotionally based. So a lot of the statements that I hear from clients would be, she cheated on me, for example. Why should I support her? She should be self-sufficient, and so on and so forth.